Well, is Big Brother watching you? Apparently he can if he wants to. Right now, police can slap a GPS system on your car and track your every move 24/7. The Supreme Court today heard arguments on whether or not police can legally do this without a warrant. This stems from the case of a D.C. nightclub owner who was nabbed by police back in 2005. Police were able to track his activities for a month through a GPS device they attached to his car. Antoine Jones was convicted and sentenced to life behind bars, but the Court of Appeals overturned the verdict, ruling that police indeed violated Jones's privacy. But 3 federal appeal courts have ruled that GPS monitoring is legal without a warrant. Amid the conflicting rulings, the Supreme Court is now hearing the case. It's being called one of the most important Fourth Amendment cases in a decade. It could determine just how far police can go in tracking your every move. And apparently it's not a rare practice today. From police to the FBI, authorities are reportedly buying these devices by the thousands. And the Justice Department says law enforcement now uses GPS as a crime-fighting tool with, quote, great frequency. So is the right to privacy eroding in America? I have a feeling radio host Alex Jones has a lot to say about this. Alex, what are the greater implications of this? Do you think that police being able to use this kind of technology is an attack on our Fourth Amendment rights?
Well, it is, Liz, and thanks for having me here. Look, it shows how far we've come that just 5 years ago, Bush got up and said, I promise we're not listening to American citizens' phone calls without warrants. And then it came out he was lying, and basically everything is fed through NSA hubs built inside the phone company systems. And the police put on your property without a warrant something to track everywhere you go. Clearly in all common law, jurisprudence, English common law, our Constitution, it's undebated in history that this is clearly a violation of the Fourth Amendment against unreasonable search and seizure. But it's a violation of the 10th Amendment to have federal TSA people now on the highways of America running checkpoints, not just at airports. The FBI can't randomly grope people's genitals, but the TSA does. This is all part of a globalist homeland security revolution in America. They're the revolutionaries overthrowing our republic and replacing it with the Orwellian homeland. And police now admit they're, without warrants, dialing into OnStar systems. That's on record, and listening to people in their cars. They admit that the smart meters on houses can pick up an algorithm and even know what you're watching on television. They're actually wireless snooping hubs. I mean, this is so off the charts. Homeland Security came out on Fox News and said, the deputy director said, that yes, you're not going to know if we're listening to you, but yes, we're putting billions of dollars worth of street lights that have hidden cameras and microphones to watch you directly out of 1984. This is incredible, but they could argue, well, there's no perception of privacy there. But now it's into people's homes. It's people's cell phones. It's inside their cars. This is just incredible that we've gone this far, and now they're announcing domestic hardened checkpoints and random checkpoints, and I've actually pulled up to these now, and they come up and try to pull you out of your car with your children. I am living in something out of a third world dictatorship, and it's getting worse by the minute. Now they're announcing they want to censor internet freedom. They're doing emergency media takeover drills tomorrow. Never before happened. This empire is getting ready to start World War III, and it wants to clamp down like the Nazis did on its domestic population. We are in grave danger, and so is the world.
Sounds like pretty scary stuff. Alex, one justification for using this kind of technology is that, you're driving on public roads. It's kind of, you're driving on public roads, and therefore you're making yourself vulnerable to, you're putting yourself out there, you're in the public. And so, I mean, do you think that's a valid argument? I mean, with more sophisticated technology, is this just the new reality of the world that we live in today?
Sure, and I wasn't laughing at you. You're right. That's what they're saying. I was just laughing at how asinine this is. They're now claiming the Second Amendment's a privilege. Nowhere is it a privilege in jurisprudence, but they're just telling cops it is. I see court rulings where judges say, don't bring the Constitution in my courtroom. That's America. All of this is illegal. This is your personal privacy. Thousands of rulings going back with automobiles and horse and buggies before that, say that your conveyance is your home, is your person, papers, or effects. That's in the Fourth Amendment. This is a direct assault on the core of this country. All over the nation, state police, under federal grants, pull you over, grab your cell phone, plug it into a system that hacks it instantly and downloads its contents. Homeland Security does this inside the U.S. at airports. They take people's silver coins now, or threaten to confiscate them. This is, I don't think North Korea goes to this level. I mean, they may go get certain people and go after them, and it's terrible, but this is just everybody. This is prisoner, total indoctrination, and if you go look at the U.S. laws, this is all illegal. But it's illegal to have the CIA operating in hundreds of cities in threat fusion centers, but they do it publicly. So this is just the gauntlet thrown down, authoritarianism, but you in our face. But you hit the key here. We're sold by Zuckerman of Facebook and Zuckerberg, by Schmidt of Google, that, hey, don't do something online if you don't want the public to see it. And, hey, our users are just dumb idiots, ha-ha, they think they can trust us. That's Zuckerberg of Facebook. This is the type of stuff that they say and do in just an attempt to overwhelm us and to get in our face. It's not that I have something to hide, that I have privacy. Throughout history, corrupt institutions, governments, criminals, you name it, use not having any privacy as a way to assess their mark, those they want to feed on, and gather intelligence against the general public to bring in tyrannies. That's why the founding fathers set up systems against this. And when you are against the Bill of Rights and Constitution, you are against this republic that had been a shining light of freedom to the world. Now the United States is exporting its mercenaries, its corruption, its TSA-style groping to Europe. Now the United States has been turned into a giant engine of wickedness, and I want my republic back. I want the globalist banksters who've hijacked our nation out of here, who think they can get right in our face and tell us there's no Fourth Amendment now. Listen, I've got articles where the police are going in people's houses now without warrants and saying it is unbelievable what's happening, Liz.
And Alex, you just mentioned Facebook, social media, the government, its corporations, in addition to the government. How far do you think this can go, and how much privacy do Americans really have these days?
Well, Thomas Jefferson said the level of tyranny that you will live under is what you put up with. If we put up with corruption, if we put up with out-of-control behavior, classical tyranny with a high-tech overlay, the worst combination, then it's the sky's the limit. If you only have mildly corrupt people in government, more corrupt will come in with special interest and push them out, and then even more corrupt until you get the most wicked, the most sadistic, the most manipulative the world has ever seen in power. And the good news is people don't know what they've lost till it's gone. Finally, the population is waking up and going, wow, this is really creepy what's happening. Wow, this is something, out of a science fiction nightmare movie or out of a movie about East Germany, or before that, Nazi Germany or Cuba. This is something right out of nightmares, and it's moving at such a breakneck speed because the big 6 megabanks that run our country, run Greece, run Europe, the oligarchs, they now admit they take houses that are 100% paid for, they never had a deed for. They put this on CNN and act like it's normal that Bank of America and others do this. This is an idea of how ruthless they are. They've already stolen all the pension funds. They've already bankrupted the country. But if they don't put a police state in, the people will take the government back and they'll all go to jail, or they'll have to run to England like they did out of Russia and out of other countries. And so they're going, we're not going to do that. We're going to bring in a hardcore federal Gestapo in America. A lot of people are finally listening to me because I've studied history, I've studied globalist documents, I've been to the training events, I've had law enforcement send me secret documents that has made national news. They openly in their internal documents say none of this is for Al-Qaeda. It is 100% for returning veterans, gun owners, landowners, libertarians. To keep using the Russian analogy, because I use it on my own show, basically, if you're a white Russian, it's over in America. If you're for freedom, basic liberty, private property, you are the enemy. Homeland Security is for you. Just like in China, we're like Chiang Kai-shek or something. The American people who are red-blooded and pro-liberty are to be hunted down. We're already on list. They already have their Gestapo forces set up. I'm not trying to scare people. Just 5 years ago, they denied all this was being set up. Now they flaunt it in our face. I mean, now just packs of police are on the streets at checkpoints staring at people with wild eyes like you're scum and trash. They are letting us know we are filth. And I've been to third world countries where they're a police state, but the police are at least polite. This is an open attempt to dominate and intimidate the American people.
Alex, you said you're not trying to scare people. I'm getting pretty scared listening to you. It's pretty scary stuff. What do you say to those that might say, maybe you're a little paranoid, maybe borderline schizophrenic? What would you say to your critics out there that think that this is being hyped up a little too much?
Well, I believe in people's courage. I believe that, as Patrick Henry said, I want to know the whole truth and make preparations for it, whatever it may be. And so I believe that when people are faced with the truth, that they will wake up and take action against it. I understand some cowards will rationalize and make excuses, but they're openly announcing world corporate government run by the private banks that bankrupted the planet with derivatives. The Vatican's calling for world government. This stuff is all out in the open. I mean, I've got stacks of news here where Google admits the U.S. government's telling them to take down videos critical of government. I've been approached by the globalists a decade ago and then about 8 years ago and, offered to join them. I mean, I know how real this is. I've had family who worked for the CIA and got out of it because they wouldn't commit assassinations and deal narcotics inside the United States. I grew up in Dallas, Texas, and watched the police deal the drugs. I'm not naive. Okay, I understand the real threat, and I will defend the republic. I mean, again, I was called schizophrenic for saying OnStar's listening to you 10 years ago. It was in documents. I told people TiVo was tracking everything they did 5, 6 years ago. Now it's admitted. I told people all of this was happening, and I've warned them over and over again. I told you domestic checkpoints were coming. Now it's happening. Now it's in the news. They're announcing in all 50 states they're going to be at highway checkpoints. They're going to grope your children there. Because I read Homeland Security documents. I watched them on C-SPAN. This is a total authoritarian takeover by the criminal banks that hijacked the U.S. They've got to do this, or they're all going to go to jail, like Bernie Madoff and Ken Lay.
Alex, thank you so much for your thoughts on all this. That was radio host Alex Jones.
Thank you.